All right, big game breakdown. The NFL is here. Here we go. This number continues to plummet. Foles will start for the Eagles, the champs at home on NBC against the Falcons. It was 4.5. Now it's down as low as 1.5, and the total is 45. It's a revenge for Atlanta. They met in the divisional round, and the Eagles won 15-10. The Eagles were 6 of 13 on third down, and Foles was 23 of 30 for 246. Matt Ryan was 22 of 36 for 210 and a touchdown. Julio had 100 yards. It was the only Atlanta touchdown in that game was set up on a fumbled punt by the Eagles, and they shut the Falcons out in the second half. Of course, got the big goal line stand at the end to win 15-10. Jeffrey's out. Haloti Ngata comes in. Bennett comes in. Blunt's gone. Torrey Smith is gone. They have Mike Wallace. They just signed Wheaton at wide receiver. But the big news is Foles. How long is he going to be the quarterback? Of course, what happened last year with the Super Bowl, but he was horrible in the preseason as they scored 0 points in 10 preseason drives with the first team.
Yeah, and, when you look at the Wentz/Foles situation, it happened really uniquely for Philadelphia last year in a way that most teams with QB controversies don't have this level of continuity. But when you have the backup QB win the Super Bowl for you, and then you say, all right, the other guy's going to be the starter coming into the next season, and the other guy's not ready, and the guy who won the Super Bowl has really had, make no mistake about it, Nick Foles has had a very rough preseason. It wasn't pretty at any point for Philadelphia offensively in August. And we say, we don't worry about it too much, except for that the brain trust for Philadelphia, their offense coordinator, their QB coach from last year, well, they both left. So now it's a team trying to find that same level of offensive magic. And they had it last year, but they're doing it with a new staff in place and a backup quarterback that hasn't played particularly well against a Falcons defense, Pauly, that, as you mentioned, has matched up very well with Philadelphia in the past in recent meetings, and a defense that improved by leaps and bounds last year. You're looking for why Atlanta didn't suffer the massive Super Bowl loser hangover last year? Not because of the offense. It's because of the defense. That defense was absolutely loaded in 2017. And Dan Quinn, a defensive guy, has another strong defense on tap for this year. But Quinn, most assuredly not a preseason type of guy. The Falcons went over in August. They did very, very little in terms of getting their starters playing time on the offensive side of the football.
10-6 last year straight up, 11-5 to the under after they went 16-3 to the over 2 years ago, and every home game and playoff game went over. That's because the defense allowed 16 points per game in the last 7 games. They did a great job and had all those unders. Now, our late friend, the great Dave Malinsky, said last year, what happened to Matt Ryan last year? Was it Sark? What was Matt Ryan? 2 years ago was the fluke. In 2016, he had 38 touchdown passes and a passer rating of 117. Last year, he had 20 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions, and the rating was 91. But you go back and look in his career, here's his passer rating, QB rating, 87, 80, 91, 92, 99, 89, 93, 89, and 91. 2 years ago was the fluke with Shanahan when they should have won the Super Bowl. So the guy we saw last year was the Matt Ryan that we know and love. And I think some of the blame, too, goes on Sark with some ridiculous play calling and the inability to find Julio in the red zone. On the flip side, one quote I love, Doug Peterson, we still got some hungry guys, and there won't be a letdown because we had 5 starters who didn't play in the playoffs or the Super Bowl, so don't worry about that. And it's a nasty Philadelphia defense. Football Outsiders had them top 5 defense and top 5 run defense.
Oh, yeah, and when you look at Philadelphia in particular, the strength of that defense is up front. It might even be better defensive line than last year. Maybe the best in the league. Rotation. They got Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, Chris Long, Michael Bennett, Haloti Ngata, Fletcher Cox, all on the defensive line. That is going to be a tough matchup for the Falcons up front. That's going to be a tough matchup for any team up front. And Philadelphia, a team that wants to attack the line of scrimmage defensively. That's what their whole defensive game plan is based on. That's what Jim Schwartz wants to do. He did it very successfully last year. They may well have success doing it against Atlanta tonight because, look, we talk about Philadelphia not doing much in the preseason. Matt Ryan barely played. Julio Jones didn't even see the field. Devonta Freeman didn't even see the field. Neither guy played a down in 4 preseason games. Mohamed Sanu, Tevin Coleman, Calvin Ridley, very, very little playing time. The end result, the first team offense, they played KC. Was the only game where they played, and they looked pretty good. They struggled against the Jags, and both of those games were without Freeman and Jones. But the bottom line is that's a defense that's an offense for Atlanta that has a boatload of weapons that we didn't see in August. Same thing for Philadelphia. So while we are talking about 2 strong defenses and 2 teams that have been playing defensive scrums in recent years, as you mentioned, 10 and 15 points for Atlanta the last 2 meetings against Philadelphia. You look at the skill position talent for these 2 teams. Both squads do have weapons, downfield weapons. We'll see if those weapons get utilized on Thursday night in a game that, this game should be a whole lot of fun. Pauly, it really should be for a Thursday night opener. And I'll tell you what, I remember when we first started doing the show, we had an angle, excuse me, about the Super Bowl winner at home on Thursday nights.
Yeah. What
a good bet that had been. And then you look, I went back and looked for that graphic, and I'm like, Super Bowl winner didn't win last year. The Patriots lost straight up to the Chiefs. The Broncos in 2016, the Thursday night opener against the Panthers in that Super Bowl rematch, they didn't cover that game. They won by 1. 2015, the Patriots against the Steelers, they pushed or lost ATS in that game. So it's been a while since the team at home on Thursday night took care of business straight up and ATS after a stretch of success on Thursday nights. The last few years hasn't been nearly as good. The last Thursday night home favorite winning cover in the opener came all the way back in 2014 when the Seahawks beat a very banged up Packers team 36-16. So it's been a while for the favorites on Thursday night, Pauly. We'll get back to this game when it comes to play of the day time.
I like Atlanta on the side, but although, take the money, the value's gone as we do the show today. We have an opinion on win totals? Well, with Atlanta in a tough division that put 3 teams in the playoffs last year, and who can challenge the Eagles in the East? I don't know, maybe the Giants might be the second best team with all the offensive line issues with the Cowboys, and who's Dak going to throw to?
Yeah, Atlanta's been very strong with the win totals in every season, obviously, since Dan Quinn has gotten there. They're not a team I'm in any rush to bet under the total, even in that tough NFC South. When it comes to Philadelphia, I've got an Eagles under 10.5 win ticket in my pocket. That's largely schedule-based. Their schedule is just brutal. Even in the NFC East that isn't loaded with quality contenders, Philadelphia, they'll be up against it week after week after week. I also think the brain drain, when you talk about DiFilippo and Reich both leaving town, I think that matters for Philadelphia. Maybe not week 1, but I think over the course of the season, the loss of their QB coach and their offense coordinator from last year is going to cause a hiccup or 2. Philly, yeah, they're not a bad team. They're still a 9-10 win team, but 10.5 to me seemed a little bit rich on the Philadelphia Eagles. Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the game.